And at exactly 6 minutes past 7 a.m., time for us to quickly skim through on what the different dailies are holding for you. And obviously, we just be having that particular story on what the senators did in terms of approving the raising of the debt ceiling to 10 trillion. That is actually what has made its way on the front page of the People Daily this Wednesday morning. In fact, as it turns out, this vote was supposed to happen last week, but that was postponed after allies of President Uhuru Kenyatta and Azimio la Umoja One Kenya presidential candidate Raila Odinga were not able to marshal the numbers in Parliament, and so that was postponed up until when they were able to vote to approve the raising of the debt ceiling to 10 trillion. So again, just as we asked earlier, what does this portend for you and I in terms of particularly raising of taxes, knowing fully well that as of March the public debt now has stood at 8.4 trillion with a deficit of 846 billion. This is in respect to financing our 3.3 trillion finance for this, particularly budget for this financial year 2022-2023, which actually begins next month, that is July 1st. So even as that was happening, Uhuru Kenyatta now signs 10 bills into law, even as he rejects three others. Part of what formed in the 10 bills that he signed into law include the supplementary appropriation bill, the finance bill, as well as the appropriation bill. So that those are part of what he signed into law. This is even as he rejected the higher education loans bill of 2020. Also part of what was signed into law is the mental health bill. This is a bill that was proposed by the nominated senator, that is Sylvia Kasanga. And it's really quite timely given the fact that we really are having a lot of cases of mental issues and mental wellness. And also largely this particular bill is supposed to provide proper treatment and rehabilitation of matters to do with mental illness. This particular bill actually was in Parliament for close to 4 years before it was approved, and then later on sent into law by the president. So away from that to now what is happening just 47 days to the polls and the questions that are being raised, particularly by Kenyans as well as the various presidential candidates on IEBC's preparedness and readiness to handle the polls. Remember that the IEBC has already conducted its first simulation process. This is just basically a process that is conducted by organizations as well as institutions to ascertain the ability and credibility of that particular organization to be able to handle whatever it is they say they can handle, and also just to see how best they can respond to crisis. So it is set to conduct its second simulation process. And even as this is happening, the questions being raised is the issue to do with the 3G and 4G network. Remember that as it stands, out of the 46,232 polling stations, as mentioned by IEBC, 1,111 of these polling stations still lack the 3G network. And what IEBC said is that it's going to procure the satellite phones, and largely remember that also this is part of what informed the nullification of the 2017 presidential election, the lack of internet connectivity. Also the questions being raised is what they said, that they're not going to use the manual register, they're going to use the digital register. And again, the question still comes is that what if internet connectivity fails? What then happens in respect to that? So this is some of the questions that also just have been raised by Kenyans as well as the various presidential candidates. And this just comes particularly a day after IEBC released the final voter registers, which indicated that 22.1 million Kenyans qualify to vote in this election. And lastly, much as the Nairobi Senator Johnson Sakaja still is facing woes when it comes to his degree qualification, the latest poll by TIFA just indicates that he is a preferred candidate, the preferred gubernatorial candidate for Nairobi, whereby it puts him at 42%, who are the respondents who actually feel that he's the best to lead Nairobi. And this puts Igathe at 32%. Out of this, polls that were conducted by TIFA indicates that 28% of the respondents were still undecided. This is even as he still continues to battle with his degree validity. Victor.